For the first part, as we warm up, you can use whatever scrap paper you have lying around. I have an old reference of a K-pop boy and don't need that anymore, so I'm just going to use the back of it. And today we're drawing a Stegosaurus jumping on a trampoline, having a good old time. Let me focus my camera a little bit there. There we go. But we're going to go over some of the primary shapes on this guy, and then we'll go on and do our final version. So first, his head is kind of funky. He's got that circle base that we always start with. And he's going to be looking to our left, so we'll draw our center line to the left. And he's not really looking too much up or down, so I can give a pretty straight eye line right across there. But then he's got this nose that sticks out. Some artists draw it more like a beak, but since I'm trying to make a baby, cute little dinosaur, I'm going to keep it kind of a rounded, ovally shape. We'll clean up the inside if that is easier for you. And then we'll add some eyes really wide apart. I'm sticking with the simplified oval eyes, but if you want to do more detailed eyes, that's fine. So way over on the sides of the head. Then we're going to have this eyebrow that connects to the cheekbone and all the way back around. We'll start with his one kind of eyebrow over here. Come around into kind of the cheekbone. And then connect it right back up to his nose. And same thing on the other side, except using some foreshortening. We're going to make this one narrower. And bring that back around. Add a couple of little watermelon seed shapes for the nostrils. And if by chance you want to make his mouth closed, it's super easy. You just add one more line on the bottom, pretty much at the bottom of the circle there. Or if you want that open mouth, we have to add one more shape in there. His mouth gets narrower as it gets to the nose, so we're going to squeeze this into a triangular type shape. And then we'll go right around and get a little bit thicker as it connects back into the head. The legs are pretty similar to the Triceratops that we did before. They've got this same anatomy of having kind of this big shoulder piece that connects up into the shoulder blade there. Hooks out into a little elbow in the back. And then we have our lower part of the leg, this section right here. And then we have one more joint, as we can tell by these little wrinkles here, we can tell it bends right there. Almost a bit like a horse leg. We got that little end there. Different artists make different kinds of toes. I just put some little like fun-sized Twix bars on the end here, just little skinny ovals. If you'd rather do like badger claws or something like that, you can do that. That's kind of cool. And then the back legs, real simplified. We've just got this one big shape in back. It does get narrower, just like we did last week at the top. So I'll show that with a little thickness guideline here just for practice. Then we've got the knee. That's going to be thicker. And then it comes down into this lower section. And you can think of big cylinder. Big and rounded. And again, some little toes. And then the Stegosaurus's trademark feature, of course, the back fins, spines, plates? I guess plates. Some artists will have them alternating so that on the back of your Stegosaurus you have large gaps on one side. Like let's say there's 3 here. And then they'll draw on the other side in between so that they're staggered. I don't really like that. It's just hard to draw. I don't want to make life harder for myself. So I tend to do them in pairs. So if I have one plate here, there's going to be another plate right opposite to it. I didn't do a great job on this drawing though, because some of them are a little wonky perspective wise. But as for the shape, the way I did it is if I have my back of my dinosaur curving around like that, I plotted out the main placement of each one with just the top section so that I could get my spacing how I wanted it. And then I came back and I rounded them into that more flower petal shape. I didn't finish off or close the shape of the plates at all. I just left them open so that they look like they connect right into the body. Or if you'd like to add a little texture, you can maybe add some veins in there. And I'll be back in one moment. My dog is anxious to get out of the room. And I think that's about it. So I'm going to grab a good piece of paper and go for the real thing this time. Back out a little bit here. There we go. So I'm going to start with the trampoline on the bottom because we won't need much space underneath the trampoline. Starting out with our very flattened ovals, leaving about 1 inch on each side so it'll fill up this paper nicely. And putting another one inside, trying to make the edge that's closer to us a little bit thicker and the one that's farther away from us a little bit thinner. And I'll give some thickness to this trampoline, coming down on the edges. And I try to make this curve the same or curvier than the top one. If it gets flatter, it's going to break the illusion of 3D-ness. So it's better to go a little bit curvier if you're not sure. And then to plot out the legs for the trampoline, I'm going to give myself another guideline, the same as this bottom curve or curvier. I'm going to go a little bit curvier just to be on the safe side. And you'll probably only be able to see 4 legs of the trampoline, but if you want to add a few more for extra stability, go right ahead. I'll sketch in a couple of legs here. And then each one of these legs is going to have a rubber cap so that this trampoline doesn't shift around too much while this dinosaur is jumping on it. I'm going to round off the part where this cap starts and round off the bottom as well. Again, the top one is going to be shallower or less curvy than our bottom curve. If the curves are too difficult, you can always make a whole oval around there and then erase the part you don't need later. And go a little bit extra on the edges here so that it looks like this metal pole, this gray part, is going right into the black rubber part. And then we'll move up to our dinosaur. We've got all this space left for our dinosaur. We just have to leave a little room at the top for those plates that are going to come in later. But my first shape is actually going to be a whole egg. If you think of his back as the top of the egg and then come around his tail, we're going to make that whole egg shape first. So light and loose. You can see I'm not moving my fingers at all because we're making big shapes. When we make big shapes, don't use your fingers. Fingers are for little shapes. So I've got my egg type shape there, so lightly, barely dragging the pencil around. And then I'm going to come back in here and just carve out a body and a tail, a little bit like a yin-yang symbol. Yin-yang. I don't know the proper pronunciation. I'll carve out my tail right there so I have my nice flow going around. A little overlapping there on the tail. Then I can get rid of the rest of that shape. And then we can overlap the head right on the end of the body here. I'm going to start with that circle just like I did before, maybe about the size of that gold Sacagawea coin that nobody uses. But babies have big heads, so if you're not sure if it's the right size, just make it a little bit bigger. You can't go wrong. Then we'll do those same plot lines just like we did before. We're going to have it looking to the left. If you want to challenge yourself and make this dinosaur look in a different direction, by all means, go right ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did in practice. You may also need to sharpen your pencil, as I have to do. Stick on that nose. Kind of like Gonzo's nose. Nice big oval there. Put some eyes. Little watermelon seed for the nose there, nostril. Another little one. If you'd like to put some little skin bumps on the top, you can probably do that too. Didn't think of that the first time around. And then we're going to connect up this very unique head shape. Oops, my speaker turned off. With an eyebrow and a cheekbone. And flow right on into that muzzle there. You could probably also use this head construction for a really cute baby crocodile. I like to clean up as I go so I can see how my shapes are developing. So I'm going to go ahead and clean all this out. I'm going to add a little bit of a point to the head so that's not perfectly round like a basketball. With a little bit of an angle. Not too much because I still want a baby dinosaur. Not a fierce and ferocious one. And I'll add the bottom part of the mouth. Coming down into that triangle type shape. And then taking another line right around. And connect right back into the head. And for a little tongue detail, I'm going to just put one little bump right there for one side of the tongue. And then one more bump on the other side of the tongue. I'm going to add a little bit of extra volume here. Kind of imagine the neck. Where's that neck? And then I'll start placing the legs. So again, we're coming right off of that anatomy that comes down into these chest muscles and into the upper part of the leg. The other one you might see just a little bit with the chest in between. We've got that elbow right by the body. Coming down. And I'll turn just that last little bit to the end of that leg. And then the other one is going to be tucked behind, so we don't have to draw too much, just another curvy line. In that way. Or if you'd rather have his legs sticking out at a different angle, that's fine too. And then my back leg, I'm going to start way up near the top of the body or the ridge of the back. Maybe I want to stick it a little more forward. We're going to do a little bit more foreshortening and have the bottom of the foot maybe right here. This time, that might be fun. It'll be a little rounder than this oval since it's facing us a little more and not quite as sideways. And with our foreshortening, there'll be the wrinkles for that knee right there. And as we did in practice, the lower part of the foot is rounder, or the leg, I should say. The lower part of the leg is rounder than the top part. So probably cover up all that upper part of the leg. Ooh, I don't like that tangent though, so let's see, let's shade a little bit off here. If you have any kind of gap in between the front legs and the back leg, you'll probably have a little bit of tummy right in between. And we'll go ahead and put on some details. Those little toes in front. This little skinny ovals. Overlap that one, or underlap it, I should say. Can't see much of it. The other foot is even more turned, so we won't see very much of the toes at all, maybe only 3. And the third one is super skinny. And then he'll have toes up on this back leg. Very flat in comparison to the front leg. And then we get to add his plates. We'll start up at the top with the biggest ones. And make them get smaller as we go to the neck. Some artists have the spines go all the way up into the head if you want to do that. Smaller and smaller on the tail, and then right at the end of the tail there's a couple of actual spikes, as made famous by all of those artists that have Stegosauruses fighting Tyrannosaurus Rexes and using that spike tail to keep them away. And like I said earlier, I prefer these plates to be paired up, so I am going to put another plate just a little bit in front of each one. When I get back here to the tail, we won't be able to see them as well. Maybe not at all on that one, maybe a little bit on that one. And once I like the placement, I'll just go ahead and come back and round off the bottom part, leaving it open. We can go into the body. I feel like the ones on his tail are turned away from me, so I won't see that bottom part like I do on the ones for his back. And if you feel like it's a little awkward without seeing that fourth leg, you can also stick in a little foot peeking out on the other side if you want to. Sometimes I try it out and debate whether I like it or not. Most of the time I don't put it. That one too, I don't really like it. So I'm not going to do it, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. You guys can do it. And a little bit of skin texture. We've got a couple of spots with wrinkles and overlapping lines. Pretty much any place, whoa, focus, any place that one part of the body is going into the torso, we're going to have that little Y to show that little wrinkle of skin. I probably should put one there too, going right into the body. Where this one's overlapping that one, so I've got a little Y shape to show that overlap. So on my guy here, any place it's going into the body, I'm going to add that little extra line. Anywhere he's folding his legs up, and add that little extra line. If you want to do one on the bend of the tail as well, you can have a little overlapping line there. And then wrinkles on the knees and major joints. I usually put 3 or 4 curved lines, a couple curving up and a couple curving down. We already took care of the knee, so I think we are ready for ink and color. I'm going to take my kneading eraser and just lift off some of this extra graphite. Oh no, my marker bled onto my paper. Oh well. Such is the life of an artist. And for those of you watching later, if you don't have one of these erasers, you can always just get a regular eraser and just do it a little bit more lightly so that you don't erase the entire drawing. It'll end up being a little bit smudgier, but it still gets the job done if you don't happen to have one of these kneading erasers. If you have a set of ink pens, go ahead and use those, or if you don't, you might have a black marker or a Sharpie, or if nothing else, you just get a regular ballpoint pen. Today, I think I'll try a regular pen. I don't even know what this is. Oh, it's brand new. Still got the tip thing on it. Might be a gel pen. We'll see. So far, the pens that I have been trying have all bled a little bit once I put the marker on top of them, so I haven't quite found a pen that will withstand the marker yet. Welcome! Here's what you missed.
Cool.
So when you're inking with a ballpoint pen and you only have one thickness, obviously, we're just going to trace over the whole thing, but not trace in the manner of speaking where you go around the entire thing without lifting up your pen. You're going to pretend like you're drawing it again with your pen. So you'll notice that I'll do a mark, lift up my pen, do another mark, lift up my pen, another mark, lift up my pen, because if I try to go around the whole thing, it's going to ruin all of that hard work that you put in and just look a little bit flat. I'm going to add a little smile crease. This is cartoony. I want to convey that emotion of this happy dinosaur jumping on a trampoline. Oh, this pen skips. Well, note for next time. Don't use this pen. I'm going to back up a little bit and put our reference on camera just in case anybody wants to try and doodle a little something before the end of class. Still got a whole 20 minutes or so you might be able to pull something out at the last minute. If you'd like to get a brush pen look, but you don't have a brush pen, it's easy to do. You just come back into some of these lines, and right where it curves, you leave a little gap so that you can color it in, and it looks like you have some more line variation, something more like a brush pen. It'll get thicker around the curves and then thinner at the ends. I probably won't have time to do that to the whole thing, so I'm just going to leave it as it is and start erasing fully so that I can get to color.
Oh, I didn't see it was on a trampoline for a really long time.
What was that? I didn't quite hear you. Let me turn up my volume.
Oh, I didn't notice he was on a trampoline till just a second ago.
Oh. I guess you could just be randomly jumping. That could be something too.
Yeah, I didn't notice he was jumping either. I just thought, oh, it's like a Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stegosaurus walking.
So as you guys know, I'm taking a class in the biology of dinosaurs, and I just got my textbook yesterday and started flipping through it, and the page that caught my eye was how we know the colors of dinosaurs. And I went, this ought to be rich. So they say that for sure dinosaurs had stripes, or at least one of them did, because in the fossil relief of the skin, there's stripes, there's bars. And I'm thinking that doesn't really make sense because zebras aren't bumpy just because they have stripes. I don't know about lizards so much, or if any of you know that if a striped lizard has different colored stripes, does its skin actually bump up with every stripe?
I sadly do not know any of that.
Yeah, but it seems a little off to me. But anyway, that's what they're basing it off of, is that there were stripes in this skin relief, and so definitely stripes were a possibility for dinosaurs. So I kind of used a general sort of stripy pattern on this one, but I think I might get a little more colorful with this one. Maybe do some spots. Pretty much any pattern we tried out in Big Cat's class will be fine to try out here. This time I think I'll go maybe yellow. Let's try yellow. Maybe orange. Orange and yellow. We'll do that. Orange, yellow, pink. I'm putting down my colors with markers or colored pencils. I usually extend the lighter color just a little more so that when I come back with my next color, hopefully we'll get a little bit of color mixing. I don't know about these two colors, but you can see on this one, I only used yellow and pink, but because I overlapped it a bit, there's that little stripe of sort of an orangey color. That happened by overlapping it. I don't see as much happening with the yellow and the orange that I'm using now, unfortunately, but you might get a happy surprise if you overlap your colors like that. Just about 5 minutes left, and then we're going to do our little show and tell and wrap it up. Just 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. 1 more minute. And that's time. I'm going to unpin my video. And who's ever ready to share their work, hold it on up. I will spotlight your video for everybody. Oh, we got Frank first. Let's see. Whoa!
Oh, cool.
I like all the plates. Looks better with more plates.
Yeah.
Do that for next time. Very, very cool. What'd you do, Kristen, and half of a class?
No trampoline.
No trampoline, but hey, it says it just looks like he's walking down the street there. Very, very cool. Anything you want to screen share, Michaela?
I don't know. I drew. Nah, I just was messing around with clothes on the thing I drew last time.
Oh, okay, that's fine too. Well then, thanks for joining me, guys. Next time we're doing the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So.
Oh, the big guy.
Big guy with little arms.
Isn't that the one they found now that it's a tiny little bug-eating Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Really? I don't know.
I'll have to look up that story. They just found a tiny little dinosaur.
Oh, ooh. See, I like
He's
little
dead, needless to say.
All right, I'll see some of you in the next class and some of you next week. Until then, see you later.